Hi and welcome to today's mini career class. I'm Mandy Kay from Soul Strategies and it's great to be here with you. I am tuning in from my backyard today. It's a beautiful sunny day. My feet are on the earth and I feel great. So today we are talking about getting out of our comfort zones and taking more risks and the rewards that can bring. This is the third part in a 5-part series around the key attitudes that help you activate planned happenstance when you are looking to shift your career direction. So planned happenstance, if you haven't tuned into any of the previous classes, is my favorite career theory or framework. I'm such a brainy nerdiac who loves this whole concept that actually, you know what, most of our careers are shaped by these unplanned chance events or encounters or opportunities that we can't actually predict or plan for. But there are certain attitudes that we can have and certain actions we can take that will help us either take advantage of unexpected opportunities that come our way, or maybe there are unexpected events that kind of sweep into our life to shift us into a new direction, such as, you know, a relationship breakdown or a job loss or illness. It all comes under the same banner of these just unexpected things that send us into a different direction. And so if you want to, I really recommend that you actually watch my first class called Planned Happenstance, The Secret to Finding Your Calling, and downloading the accompanying worksheet for that at soulstrategies.com.au/class 1, and that's the number 1. But today we're talking about risk-taking, because that is one of the key attitudes. And really, to me, risk-taking is taking action in the face of uncertain outcomes. You know, it can range from the simple thing of picking up the phone and ringing someone you don't know, to taking a massive leap of faith and starting a new business or leaving a job or moving locations. You know, and certainly for me, this whole idea of being able to be comfortable being uncomfortable really started, I really started to explore this for my own, in my own life when I was young and I was in a marriage. So I was 22, I was 22 when I got married, and, or maybe I was 21, I was young, okay? And I married my childhood sweetheart, and we'd been together like 9 years. We'd grown up together, and I got the sense that perhaps maybe this wasn't the path for me, that maybe it wasn't the right relationship, and that there was something more for me out there. And it was such a complex decision to make, and to me involved a huge amount of risk, because the idea of letting go of this person that I had loved for so long felt enormous. And I took myself to the beach and I sat down with my journal and I really started to explore what is it that will make me feel like my life is successful at the end of it. You know, how am I going to deem myself successful in this life that I've led? And the key thing that I came to was that for me, success was following my heart and not being driven by fear. And so in that moment, I knew that I was going to have to get comfortable with making decisions that put me out of my comfort zone, that contained huge risk, in order to feel like I was successful at the end of it. And so I made the decision to leave that relationship. I even got the symbol for strength tattooed on my back, just to remember how much strength it took me to leave that relationship as I leapt into the unknown and took that risk of leaving everything that I had known in that relationship and the life that we had created for one another, and start to create something completely new for myself. And that's sort of the benchmark that I set for myself in those early days of, you know what, this is how I want to live my life. And ever since then, I have had to, really push myself into the direction of where I feel my heart is calling. And so often that requires all this risk taking and all this action, despite not knowing how anything is going to work out. And I so fully believe that the same is going to occur for you as you navigate this career transition, as you find the thing that your heart is truly calling you towards in life. I'm such a big believer that your soul is calling you onto your true path through all of these impulses and that sense of, that sense that you're meant for something more. That's your soul telling you you are. But you're going to need to branch into uncomfortable territory because it's going to make you grow. And that's the whole point, because our souls want to experience expansion and growth and to know what's possible for ourselves this lifetime. And unfortunately, as nice as comfort zones feel, as safe as they feel, it's not where the growth occurs. You would have seen, so many of those quotes around all the magic happens outside of the comfort zone. Well, it's true. So it reminds me of Albert Gray. He wrote a speech in the 1940s called The Common Denominator of Success. If you've never read it, I highly recommend you read it. Just ignore the fact that he was a man in the 1940s who only referred to men being successful, and he was pretty harsh in his depiction between successes and failures. But his message is as true today as it was back then, which was the fact that after he went and studied all of these successful people, like what is it that actually makes people successful? And all of us have our own definition. For him at that time, he was in insurance sales, so that was his definition of success. It doesn't matter what your definition of success is, but the point is that what he worked out was that the people that do achieve their sense of success consistently have made the habit of doing the things that most people don't want to do. And the thing is, they don't want to do it really any more than others. They might have the motivation and the impulse to go and push themselves through, their discomfort, but ultimately it still requires effort on them, on their behalf, to do these things that they naturally may not actually want to do. So a lot of the time, in our lives, as we're on this journey, as we're looking for that something more, as we're looking for the path that's really going to light us up in that work and creating something, that we can pour our heart and energy to, there are going to be actions that, left to our own devices, we're just going to want to stay in our comfort zone. We're going to want to stay in our pajamas on the couch and, potentially just watch Netflix all day. And, while that might feel really nice at the moment, at the time, ultimately what you want, what your heart wants, what you're being called towards, those ideas and impulses you have for things that you want to do, it's going to require you to take a risk and to put yourself out there into, out of that comfort zone. So, that was the key message, from Albert Gray, he was like, yeah, totally, left to our own devices, we're going to stay in our comfort zone. Just know that naturally, your natural impulse is going to be to want to stay comfortable and safe and, not take that action that's going to, feel just, a bit hard. So just know that and expect that. So then it kind of sets, for me, that sets the expectation that as I'm doing these things, as I'm putting myself out there, as I was taking leaps of faith, as I was leaving a relationship, as I was pioneering new jobs and new businesses, that there are going to be so many moments where it feels really uncomfortable. But the great thing about comfort zones is that they grow. So the more that you do something and expose yourself to take certain actions, the easier it gets. And I tell you what, one of the biggest things that have shown me is doing these bloody videos. So if any of you are in my women's circles last year, every month I would set the intention to go out and do more video, because they scared the bejesus out of me and made me feel super uncomfortable. And setting this task for myself to get in front of the camera every week on a regular basis, it's getting easier. It still makes me feel a little awkward, but it's definitely gotten so much easier. And that's the same for you, and any action that you take right now that's going to branch you into new territory. It might feel completely overwhelming initially, but the more that you do it, the easier it's going to get. I promise. So on that note, top tips for helping you get out of your comfort zone and take more risks as you look at, pioneering and forging, your new career path to really find your true calling, fulfill your higher purpose, and really start a legacy that's going to create social change. I've created into a little wordy smith thing today. It's not called an acronym. I don't know the actual, can't remember the name of it, but it's based on risk. So R, firstly, be realistic. R is for the realistic. And actually think, what's the worst that can happen if you take this action? Seriously, if you pick up the phone to talk to someone about doing something that you might be actually interested in doing, or, for me, when I was taking that risk of saying yes to living in this random forest off the grid and learning Reiki and just doing, that was just completely, wasn't part of the plan. I actually had to think, what's the worst thing that could happen? And I worked out that the worst thing that could happen was I was going to end up completely broke and potentially out of a home. And, I feel really blessed. I have a family. I'm figuring they'd let me turn up on their doorstep if that happened, and I could, regroup and work out what I was going to do from there. And I thought, I can suffer that worst case scenario. So be a bit realistic. Sometimes our anxieties can exacerbate what we think is going to happen. So think through things and go, okay, what's the worst that can happen? I was in a networking, I was delivering a lecture on networking yesterday at the uni, and we were talking about, branching out and making phone calls and reaching out to people that we were wanting to talk to. Maybe they're in different areas, they're doing things that we're interested in, and so often people are like, I don't want to do that because I don't really know what they're going to think of me. They might say no, they might just think I'm really stupid. So that brings me into ignore your inner critic and ignore what you think people are going to think about you. I really have had to let go of what people think of me as I've navigated my life. I know that I have made choices and decisions that have made people judge me, disown me, unfriend me. You know what? And that's okay, because as long as I'm happy with myself and I trust that I'm making the best decisions for me and following my heart, because that's my definition of success. Decide what your definition of success is, what your heart is going to tell you that you want to achieve in your lifetime, and ignore everything else, because your only obligation is to remain true to yourself this lifetime. So yes, that's I. S is, what's S? Hang on, I've got paper here. Take small risks. So anyone who follows me knows that I'm a little bit of a research nerdy nerd, and the research shows that if you take small risks, then your comfort level for risk taking gets bigger. So that's just basically the same as your comfort zone grows, the more you stretch yourself. So, start small. And maybe there's something that you can think of that you've been thinking about doing this week, but it just feels a little feels a little awkward, feels a little hard. Start there before you start shifting massive life changes like leaping out of your job or starting that business. What's one tiny thing that you can do today that's going to just help you start to stretch yourself and get comfortable with risk taking? And then K is kiss goodbye to living in your comfort zone. If you truly want to follow your heart's and soul's desire to find your calling and to start something that's pretty damn epic and makes massive amount of change in the world, all of that exists outside your comfort zone. So kiss it goodbye and just start getting really comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. I tell you what, pretty much every single day as I navigate my way through, fulfilling my calling through Soul Strategies for, supporting and empowering other amazing women change makers, most of it exists outside of my comfort zone. And just kind of gotten used to it now. So kiss goodbye to the comfort zone. So that's it for today's little mini career class. If you haven't already, I really recommend you go and listen to the Planned Happenstance workshop, download the worksheet, because what that gives you is, one, the insight into how Planned Happenstance can help you navigate your career change, some reflections in there, and it has 20 key actions that you can take, and perhaps maybe that might give you some ideas for some risks that you can take that are going to get you out of your comfort zone and reward you with either new insights or potentially new opportunities that are going to get you onto your rightful path and make you feel happy and fulfilled and completely lit up with what you're doing, and how you're contributing to the world. So that worksheet is at soulstrategies.com.au/class1, and that's the number 1. As we wrap this up, I invite you to think about what is one action that you can take. Do it today. Get off this video right now and just take it. Get out of that comfort zone. Maybe you're going to sign up to something new. Maybe you're going to, phone somebody who you've been thinking about, because they're doing something cool and you're like, you know what? I'm really interested in that. Maybe you're reaching out to a coach because, we're all here and there's just millions of us out there wanting to help and support you. Whatever it is, just get yourself out of your comfort zone and start taking those risks, because I promise you something wonderful can happen at the end of it. So thank you very much for being here with me today. Let me know in the comments what you thought, where you've taken some risks that's worked out for you, and maybe what you're doing. Stay accountable and let us know. Okay, bye beautifuls.